The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone. Good evening. I hope I am audible. So you guys can just and post your messages or question in the chat. Everybody can see a chat option, right? There you can type it out and ask anything you want to. So you will be not be having any like permission to talk here. So whatever it is, you have to speak in the chat itself, right? So how about now? Is my voice too low? What about others? Am I not audible? Please, can anyone confirm? Is my voice, everything is okay? Okay. So yes, Shubham, about your internship offer letter and all, it will be okay. Send it to you by the this weekend. Okay, by this week. So don't worry about that. So you will get access to the LMS as well as the offer letter within this weekend. Okay, so just concentrate on the class as of now. Okay, so try to learn the things. So you will get an update regarding that. Okay, offer letter, whether it is access to the LMS, everything will be given to you by this weekend. Okay, fine. So can anyone confirm is my screen is visible to everyone? Yes, visible, right? All right then. So let's start our session. Welcome everyone for the internship. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I am Nagaratna. Okay, so I will be handling the first week of internship for you. Okay, so let's today discuss okay a bit about the overview about your internship, how it is going to be, what and all you are going to learn, right? As you already done with the induction or introduction class or session. So today we are directly moving on to the subject wise, okay, the learning. So here the internship, as you already know, it is going to be of 1 month duration, right? So in that 1 month duration, you will be having the first week. Week one is mainly on C module. Okay, the C. So overview about C session. It will be maximum of 7 session or up to 8. So I have to be completing the C. in 7 sessions. 7 sessions means 7 days or 7 class. Then week 2 onwards, your IoT, okay, project and everything will start. Okay. So continue from there. It will be an Arduino. So basically, you will be having Arduino projects and all, right. So that you will continue from the second week onwards, like most probably from the 8th session. Okay, so you will be having your Arduino and a project, right? Now, see the resources, whatever is the resources are there. You're basically going to get the recording session in the LMS. Everything we are going to be updating in the LMS only. I know as of now you don't have the access, so don't worry about it. So you will be given the access by this weekend. Okay. So you will be given some user ID and a password. You can log into that user ID and a password, and you can access the course materials, recordings, and everything. Fine. Now, say the class, coming to class, right? Yes, sir. Whoever has registered for a internship, right? Everybody will be getting the certificate at the end. Okay, once you complete the project and the completion of everything. So whoever has submitted the project, right? And yes, so don't worry about the access and everything. It will be provided to you as soon as possible. Fine. So the project will be mainly on the IoT only, Praveen. So IoT and Arduino, you will be doing the projects. Fine. So don't worry about that. You will anyway start doing it from week 2. So in the week 1, so we're just going to concentrate on the C module. Okay. So let me just give you an overview of your classes and all. See, daily you will be having the class from 7 to 9, that to Monday to Friday. Okay. So weekend you don't have anything. You can utilize the weekends to revise the things whatever you have learned. Okay, you can go through and practice, right? So no class on weekends. And in this internship, I will be only taking the C module, that is week 1 will be taken by me. Later on, the IoT and all will be handled by the some other mentor. Okay. So week 2 onwards, whatever the doubt you have about Arduino or the projects, right, you will understand from the week 2 onwards. So because yes, the internship is free of cost. Okay, whoever is registered will be getting the login credentials. Fine. So yes, week 1 is going to be the C, and week 2 onwards, as I already said, it will be based on the project, IoT project or Arduino project will be starting from a week 2. So all the resources, right? Once you register, you will be given the login ID and a password to access the LMS by the weekend. Okay, so don't worry about the accessing and everything. Yeah, so it will be released, Aniket, as soon as possible, right? So just wait till the weekend. Fine. So there are many queries. So if I keep on taking the queries, then it is very difficult to complete the class. So what you can do is you actually can post your whatever is the doubt for a support team. So they will get back to you with the answer. Okay. So don't worry about that. Yes, we are going to cover the concept which is required for you to do the Arduino project or IoT projects. Okay, so don't worry about that also. So everything will be explained. Okay, no need to worry about in the first session itself. So we'll see. Okay, is the project will be, see, we will be having a simulation on that. We will be doing the project when it comes to the IoT, right? So you will get an email regarding the credentials, study materials, PPT, everything will be available in the LMS. Once you get the credential, you can start using them. Okay. So you have to submit at the end of the things. Many of you has a doubt on this IoT projects, right? You have to complete them, the projects, and submit. Once you submit the project, it will be evaluated by the mentor. Okay. So once the mentor evaluates your project, then you will receive a certificate, okay, after the completion of the project. So basically it takes 2 weeks after the completion, okay, maximum, because the strength is more, it will take up some time there, 2 weeks after the completion. Okay, so just make a note of this. And yes, so there is no attendance, we are not going to keep track about attendance and all, so you have to attend them. So more importantly, you have to complete the project and submit them. Once it is evaluated, the certificate will be received. Okay, so submission will be based on the software simulation only. Okay, oh sorry, embedded system. Okay, embedded projects you have to do on microcontroller. Okay, my bad. So it is embedded, right? Fine. No need to buy any hardware devices and all. So there will be a simulation. On that simulation you will be getting the similar configuration, whatever you are going to do it on the hardware. Okay, so project will be individually done. So these are individual project and common project. So individually you have to do it, it's not a group project. Okay, yeah, sorry, my bad. So microcontroller embedded system, right? You have to like submit the project on the microcontroller or whatever is the next module, and then evaluate by the mentor. Then once you complete the project, there will be a these things, right? So there will be a platform called Moodle LMS. Okay. So this platform, you will be receiving the credentials, login ID and a password. Once you receive that, in there you will submit your project. Okay, so that thing will be explained later on. So don't worry about that. So everything you will get it, okay, later on. So today, so we'll start with the subject. Okay, so if you have any doubt regarding the next module and all, you can ask the next mentor. Fine. So this internship, there is no price for this. It is actually free internship. Okay. So we will be giving you the project. So the project, whatever you are going to give it, you have to submit them. Okay. Yes, there will be a classes, everything, guidelines, everything will be given how you can do this, right? Fine. So see, whatever the other queries you have, you can obviously contact the support team. They will give you the answer. So let's start the session. So as I said, the class session will be 7 to 9 from Monday to Friday. No class on weekends. I will be only handling the first week of internship, week 1, where I will be only concentrating on C, right? Now, so let's start with the session. Okay. So what and all we are going to learn in the C. So let's say the module overview, the subject and what we are going to cover here in the 7 days. First, right, I'm going to start with the introduction part. We basically check or have a basic discussion on the C. So once that is done, then we'll move on to the basics data type in C. Okay, so after the data type, we will be learning the if statements and loops. So then we have arrays, so very important. Then we are going to concentrate on pointers. So once you are learning the pointer, then we have functions. Then at last in the advanced concept, we have string, storage, classes. And we will conclude your C module with one of the very important concept, that is preprocessor. Okay, or pre-processing directives. Not all. So whatever is important for your curriculum in order to design the project and all has defined with this. So these are the concept we are going to cover. Okay. Fine. So these are the concept we basically cover here. So these are nothing but the concept which is required to learn the embedded system. See, C and embedded C, they are not that different. C means it's a whole subject. C is a very vast topics, and in depth you will learn so many things. But when it comes to embedded system, we don't use every concept in the C. Okay, so whatever is required to build the application, only those concepts we are going to cover here. So that's why the name embedded C. Okay, nothing else. So these are the concept I'm going to cover in the 7 days. Right, now let's move on to the introduction part. Like, what is C? Can anyone tell me? Generally, if I ask you, what do you know about C language or what is C? So, what is C, guys? Yes, it is a friendly programming language for beginners. Fine. Computer language. Okay. Oldest programming language. Fine. So I can see many of you saying it's a low level programming language or procedural programming languages. Fine. See, if you ask me, I would say in simple word, it's a language, right? As many of you already know this. So language means we basically use to communicate. So C is a language used to communicate with the system, okay, or hardware devices, right? So when you want to design a particular system or applications which can work on the systems, we'll go with the C language. Now, whenever it is any programming languages, right, they are actually were divided like in three levels. So there are three levels in programming languages. So many of you or some of you saying, right, C is low level programming languages. Let's see whether it is true or not. See, there is a hardware, okay. So on top of the hardware, everything else is built on. So on top of this, there is a low level language. Then we have middle level language. Then we have high level language, right? So here, see, low level language, when you ask me the question here, it is actually the nearest one to the hardware because it is right, okay, above the hardware here, right? So very near. So like assembly programming languages are actually the example for low level programming language. So assembly. I don't know, many of you may have written the code using assembly language. It's nothing but an instruction. You will find instructions like this: move, okay, or let's say load, right? add instructions. So the assembly language is actually made up of these kind of instruction. So it basically above the hardware, okay, we have a low level languages. So the advantage of low level language is that it is fast and efficient because it is very close to hardware. Okay, so you can see right above the hardware you have a low level programming languages. So assembly is one of the example. Now many of you are saying that C is a low level programming language. Actually that is not true. Okay, C is not low level. It is basically the middle level language. So in the low level, whatever is the programming language which is very near to hardware, we call it as a low level programming language. Right? Now, but what is the problem with the low level programming language is portability. Yes or no? See, the drawback is portability. What is the meaning of this? See, let's say if I take an example of a microcontroller itself, if I write the code in a PIC based microcontroller, the same code can I use or execute in the STM processor? Is that possible? Will it be portable in all the systems or any other microcontroller? No, right? So portable means the code supported in all the platform. Like let's say you have written a code in the Unix, will it work in the Windows operating system? If you have written or designed the application in the Windows, will it work in the Unix? Sometimes no. So it is not supported in all the platform. Okay, so assembly programming languages, when you say the one of the drawback of the assembly programming language is it is not portable. Okay, so it is not supported in all the architecture because the hardware mainly based on the architecture. Okay, which architecture are you using? Yes, so assembly programming languages are specific to hardware or architecture, you can say. So that is one of the disadvantage, okay, with the low level programming or drawback, you can say. The problem with the assembly is a portability. Now when it comes to middle level language, we have C. Okay. So as many of you told me that it is a low level language, but that is not true. C comes under middle level language. Okay. So in between. So in C, you basically can control the hardware partially. It will be dependent on the hardware. Okay. And partially it will be dependent on the high level languages. So that's why it comes middle. So you can access the hardware as well as there are certain libraries functions which are available, so you can write the code in the high level language. So that's why it comes in between. Okay, partially it is supported in the hardware. Now coming to high level languages, okay, they are nothing but Java, C++, Python, or any scripting languages are basically comes under high level language. Now one of the main advantage of these high level languages are portability. That means the code which you have written using Java, C++, Python is actually supported in all the system. They are not hardware dependent. Okay, so that's why they are high level languages. Okay, so they are independent of hardware. It does not depend on any specific hardware here. Independent. But the drawback is because it is so far from the hardware. Okay, it is not any near. So only language which is very near to the hardware is basically this assembly. Okay. Then we have high level languages here. So which is Java, C++, where they are actually very far to the hardware. Due to that, it is not that efficient and faster. Okay. So whenever you have to design a hardware based application. So assembly language will always be efficient and faster compared to any other programming languages. Now, when you go with the C, you get both. So C language is basically efficient language and fast, okay, and also it is portable. So C is supported in all the yes operating system. So whatever the C code you write, it basically you can execute in all the other systems, right? In Windows, in Unix, in Mac OS, everywhere it will be same. The syntax and all will be same. So you get both here. So that is the reason why we go for C in embedded application. Okay, so that is the reason why C is used. The main thing is efficiency and it is fast, okay, and it is portable, right? So please understand, and C language is a very important language when it comes to the embedded system applications also. Without C, nothing is possible. So that's why we say that C is a very powerful C is a very powerful language. It is efficient one. It is flexible. Okay, and it is in depth. You can explore the sea like a ocean. You can see the image, right, everyone? So ocean is basically a very vast thing, right? So where if you go deeper with the ocean, right, you will learn so many things. So this sequence actually decided, okay, from the beginning itself, not by anyone in between. Okay, so whoever has designed the computer or whoever is closely working with the hardware and all, they done the research and they know this sequence. Okay, so those are the people who came up with this sequence. So laptop is optional. If you want, you can try this, right? So in order to interact with the hardware, right, you don't need that much depth knowledge and all. So basically, you need a knowledge of what do you say pointers. Okay, how you can access the registers and all, how it is possible to do this, right? So fine. So this is about the C, right? Now some of the applications of C programming. So where and all it is used? Yes, you will have access to everything. Okay. And this session is being broadcasted in the YouTube also. You can refer the YouTube channels as well. So you can go to and check for the webinar, right? Fine. So where and all this is used? It basically used in, yes, this class is being recorded. In system software development, in embedded software development. So operating system, okay, kernel. Any idea what is a kernel? Anyone? What is the meaning of kernel? Whoever is unable to see the screen, once you can exit and join back. I hope others are able to see the screen. Core of the operating system. Yes, exactly. Right? So brain of the processor. Good. Rohit and Spurti. Okay, many replies are there. Very good. Exactly. So kernel is nothing but the core of your operating system. Without kernel, nothing is possible. So you actually can design a kernel using C programming language. Okay, apart from that, firmware is there, middleware is there, driver development like printer and all. Okay, so these are the some other area. File system development. If you check the area, right, where and all this C is used, it's not a one single area, right? It's a more than one. So that's why C is also known as a general purpose languages. Okay, that is basically a general purpose language. So that's why the C, the one of the very important characteristics of the C is basically it is a general purpose language. Okay, even though we use it in the various specific domains, but it is considered as a general purpose. It is a free formatted language, not so strongly typed one. What is the meaning of this? See, when you write your program in the C, right, you actually can, like, let's say if I want to check certain condition and all, you can format the C however you want to. You can either write it like this or you can also arrange the brackets like this, right? But some programming languages will be formatted. So like Python and all, right? You actually cannot format however you want to. Or if you take any scripting languages, so you have to follow the indentation, the tab space properly. Then only it will work. But C is not like that. You can write it, you can indent it however you want to. Okay. So that's why it is called as free formatted language. It is not a strongly typed one. And yes, we already discussed this. Efficiency and portability are one of the most important characteristics, so which they consider while designing any hardware or any application which are very near to the hardware. So library again is one of the point where all the programming languages, okay, will be used because of that. So these are the some of the characteristics. Apart from that, see, C language, right, basically have total 32 keywords, right? So you can count actually. So it is basically 32 keywords we have in C. Keywords are nothing but it is a reserved word where you can use it to only type the programs. Okay, you cannot use those keywords anywhere else, like a reserved word. Okay, so data types, character, int, float, and a double. So it is categorized again. Then we have modifiers. Okay, these are the modifiers. Qualifiers, we have constant, volatile. Then we have looping keyword for while and a do while. So apart from that, we have the statements, if else, which case, default, and storage classes, right? Then the structure and the union, user defined data types, and other keywords are this. So these are the list. Fine. So these are the list of keywords. We basically have it in the C. It's totally 32 are there. Depending on the category, they have divided it in this way. Right. So there is one question: why C is being still used in the embedded application or a development, right? Not Python. So one of the reason, as I said, in C you actually will get the access to the hardware, right? Python, can you control the hardwares in Python? It's not that directly is not possible. You need a third party libraries and all. And Python don't have support for pointers. Okay. So only in C we have a support for the Python here. Sorry, pointers only supported in the C. Okay. See, keywords. Keywords means what? Reserved word used for specific instructions, you can say. That is what keywords are. What about others? Is my voice is coming low? Am I audible or not? Okay, fine. All right. So yes. So these are the certain things we have it here. Okay. Now moving on to the next thing. See, after the keywords, we will basically move on to our first C programming, how to write it, right? See the basic structure of C programming, how you can write. So basically we start with the documentation part. Now what is the meaning of documentation here? The documentation will describe the details about your programs. Now documentation are always or also known as the comments, okay, or the documentations are written using comments. So in C, how do you write a comment? So comments are basically written using two ways. One will be this forward slash two times. We call it as a single line comment. Then we have one more, that is multiple line comment, where it will start from forward slash and it will end with this. Same. So in between this, you will have to write a documentation part like a name, the date when you have created, or the description about the program. Okay. Then sample input and output, right? So these things are nothing but a documentation. Why do we add a documentation in our program? So that we bring the readability. So the usage of the comment is basically the readability, where user can understand what is your program is about, right? Okay. So Kunal, fine. Firmware, any idea? Okay, he has been asking that question. Any idea what is firmware? Anyone? Graphics cards, you know, right, Kunal? Routers, washing machine, you have specialized things. Yes, it is a software actually. So we can write a program inside the microchip controller or microcontroller. Yes, exactly. See your washing machine, you have a software right within it. So where you write a code so that I can write a program to wash the clothes and all. So that is what firmware is. What is the middleware? Smartwatch. Very nice. Yes. Very good. Okay. I'm very happy that many of you already know. Like device drivers. Okay. Yeah, graphics card is one of the example for the firmware. Correct. So middleware is again software that will kind of act as an interface between your applications, okay, and the software. Microwave oven, okay, fine. Not that. Middleware, you can take an example of a database server to your computer, bridge between hardware and a high level yes system. So that is nothing but a middleware. You can do some research on that. It's just a general knowledge, right? So fine. So here this is how you will write the documentation using the comments. Now once the documentation is done, there will be a preprocessor statements. Okay. So which anyway you will learn it in the next slide. What is preprocessor statements? So it is adding the headers. Okay, that I will give you one example. Sorry. Then after the preprocessor statement, we have global declaration. So global variables and all you are going to declare it here. Then you are going to jump onto the main code. Okay. So in the main code, we basically call it as a main function. We will be doing the local declaration, program statements, function calls and all. Okay, everything will be done here. So if you have many functions in your program that we will be writing after the main. So this is an example how it will look like. So this is the documentation like the certain things about your program. So I've just written my first code. Then preprocessor directive is nothing but this hash include stdio.h. Then once you have added the header, okay, these are very important. In order to execute your program, you need these preprocessor directives. Then you will start with the main function. So this is where your program will start the execution. Okay, within the main, let's say I want to display certain message. So how will you do that? You will say printf hello world. Okay, so there will be a command statement and then return 0 is basically to terminate the program. So this is how you can write a simple C code. It's an anatomy of a simple C programming code. Right? So once you written the code, how will you execute and all? You will have a command or you can directly run using the run command in the Visual Studio Code. It will work, but there will be a warnings. Okay, if you try it with any compiler or anything, if you don't include the header files, there will be a warning. Yes, your program will work. It will give you the output, but still it is mandatory or important that you include the headers so that that warnings will not be there. Right? So that is our first C program. How you can write it. Yes, Gayatri. You will get the recorded session in the LMS. So everything will be given to you. So don't worry about that, right? Okay. Now, I hope this much is fine. So yes, Krishnanjali, as of now, it is just an introduction class. Okay. So maybe one or two example I will show it to you in the upcoming days. So today it is just an introduction. You just have to understand certain things, right? So let's start with the data representation. So what is data representation? See, any application or any programming language if you take. So all those things are basically dependent on data, right? So like what type of data are you going to operate? What type of information are you going to store? Okay, what type of data you will be storing while accessing the app. Yes, Azruddin, I'm not the one who provides the certificate. It will be updated you by this weekend. Okay, so don't worry about that. So data, everything is data, right? Whatever the application you basically handle. So you have to know how these data are internally stored or how the data is represented in the memory, especially. So what do we use in order to represent the data? There are data types, correct? Now these data types are converted into a certain binary representation. Like if I take an integer, see integers can be represented either in a decimal or binary or the octal numbers or the hexadecimal, right? Now the integer value, whenever you represent in a certain numbers, it has to be converted into binary. Now the conversion depends on the base and everything. So if I say binary, sorry, decimal, we basically call it as a base 10 number system because it has 0 to 9, the values. What is binary? What is the base of binary? So it is nothing but base 2, right? So base 2 means either you will have 0 or 1. Only two values in the binary. And that is what the machines also will understand, right? Then we have octal. So octal is base 8, right? So where you have 0 to 7. Then we have hexadecimal. So which is of base 16. Now because we don't have the 16 value, it will be divided 0 to 9 and A to F. Okay, so like 10 will be represented as A, 11 will be B, like that. Okay, so those are the number systems we have. Now let's say, how do you like represent it in your system? See, if I say 10, okay, so how will you know which number system is this, right? So 10 means sometimes it may be decimal or the binary, but your machines, right? If you directly store any number, it will be considered as a decimal. If it is a binary, it will always start from 0, B, 1, 0 like this. If it is an octal, it will start from this 0. If a number is starting from 0, it will be considered as an octal in your machines or a system. Then if it is starting from 0x like this, it will be considered as a hexa. So that's how the each numbers are represented in your machines. Yes, 0b means it is binary. So if the number is starting from 0 means it's octal. If it is 0x means it will be hexa. So that's how it differentiates among the memory. Now these values internally stored, right, depending on the memory allocation also. Now in your system, the least addressable memory is 1 byte. So anybody knows 1 byte is equivalent to how many bits? No, project will be submitted at the end. Okay, so not now. And recorded session you will get the update. Okay, it will be in the LMS. So 1 byte is equivalent to how many bits? Right? Yes. It is equivalent to 8 bits, correct. Okay. So remember, and 1 bit basically means it's a binary digit. Okay. So 0 or 1. Now if it is a 8-bit system, so the binary value will vary from 8 zeros to the highest you can go up to this, right? So depending on this memory or how many bytes are allocated, the values are being converted into binary like this. If I take an example, as a memory is a 1 byte, that means it is equivalent to 8 bit, right? So 8 bit will be represented like this. So 8 zeros to 8 ones. You can vary from that to that. So minimum to maximum value. So because whatever is the integer numbers you see here, they are converted into binary. I will just have some refresh on this conversion. So not all the conversion is required. So just the basic thing you have to understand, because you will be working with the hardware, right? You should know how these conversions will happen and how integer or numbers are converted into binary. So let's discuss on decimal to binary conversion. Okay. So if I have the decimal number as a 24, do you know how do we convert this 24 into a binary? I don't know how many of you remember doing this in our primary and all. We used to draw, take a pen and a paper and draw it, right? What do we call it as? Which method do we use here? Divided by 2, right? Yes. So divided by 2 and you will be getting some reminder. Correct? So then we have again 2, we call it as a LCM method. So again reminder. Then 2, 3 is a 6, then there is a 0. Then again 2 ones are 2 and remainder is 1. So once you reach 1 or a 0, you have to stop dividing the number, right? So then once you have the value, you have to take it from bottom up. Okay, it is not top to the bottom value, in opposite way. So that means 24 is basically in the binary is 11000. This is the conversion, we get it, right? Yes. Now similarly, if you have to convert binary to decimal, how will you convert the same binary if I have? So how do you do the conversion? So you need to multiply the each bit with the 2 to the power the position. Okay, here the position of binaries will always starts from, let me tell you, it will be always starting from here. So this is basically 0, right? Then this is going to be 1, this will be the position 2, this will be 3 and this will be 4, like this. Now whatever is the position of that bit, you have to multiply with the 2 to the power, right? From the right side, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 multiplied by 2 to the power 4 plus again 1 multiplied by 2 to the power 3 plus 0 multiplied by 2 to the power 2, then plus again 0 multiplied by 2 to the power 1, okay, then 0 multiplied by 2 to the power 0. So from right to left it will be. So you have to take it and you have to multiply. So you basically end up with the 24 at the end, you can cross verify. So that's how we can convert the decimal to binary and binary to decimal. So this is a very basic thing, right? Yes, Kushala, once you get the access to the LMS, right? Notes, recorded session, everything you will get it. No, don't worry about that. And Om, see, join on time because it's already been 1 hour. So I have covered so many things. Okay, you will get the recorded session. You can refer them and you can go through. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the next class. Yes, Prajwal, you can leave. Not an issue. So regarding internship, only one important thing I said, the LMS credential and the joining certificate, you will get it by the end of this weekend. Okay, and apart from that, we have just discussed on the daily, the class session is going to be 7 to 9. That's it, right? Okay, clear. These are the conversion from decimal to binary, binary to decimal. See, apart from that, you actually have to know one more conversion, that is hexadecimal to binary. Okay. Now, this conversion in hexadecimal to binary, you have to, like, let's say if I have a number in the hexadecimal as a 35, you have to convert each digit or group each digit into group of 4 bits. Okay, so if I have 0x35, separately you have to convert into binary into group of 4 bits. So 3 means you can take the LCM method. I will write it 0 0 1 1. Okay, 5 is basically in the binary. 4 bits you have to convert, that is 0 1 0 1. Now attendance will not be marked. Okay, it's fine. So each digit you have to convert into 4 digits binary like this. Then you combine them, you will get a binary representation 0011 0101. So likewise, if you have to convert given binary to hexa, okay. So same thing. If this is the binary what they have given, you have to group four digits from the right side. Okay, group into 4 from the right side. So you will get a digit. Sometimes you may not have a 4 digit, whatever is, you can keep that as it is. So 1 1 means it is 3, 1 0 1 means it is 5. So class timing is 7 to 9, Lokesh. Okay. Correct. So that is the conversion from hexa to binary and binary to hexa. Clear? No, Lokesh. There is no money here. You don't have to pay for it. Okay. So yes, Sayed, if let's say if they have given binary values like this, so you have to start group from right side. So your right side, right to left. So right side, this is a one group. This will be one other group. So you will get 3 digits here. So from right side, you have to start grouping. Okay. Fine. So Pranav, we already started the classes. This is your regular session. So C will be the first session. Then you will come on to the embedded. Okay. So class timing was 7. It will be around 1 month. Likita. Okay, 2 or 3 days here and there, but it will take. Maximum 1 month. Okay, fine. So this is the conversion. Now likewise, we will also have a negative values, right? Let's say minus 12, minus 20 and all. How these are converted into binary? Any idea? Opening sorry, joining certificate. Well done. That will be provided by this weekend. So 7 to 9, the class timing. Okay. So LMS means we have one online platform where all the materials will be provided. Okay. So don't worry. This anyway will be explained it to you. So this is Moodle LMS we call it. So everything will be available here. Okay. So related to course or your internship. So if you have any doubt or anything, will be given in this. So to access this, you need a user ID and a password, which will be provided soon. So don't worry about that. Fine. See, don't see many of you are repeating the same question. Don't worry about that. Everything you will get it. Fine. So minus 12. If the negative numbers are there, how will you represent it in the binary? We use something called as 2's complement. Everyone concentrate on the class now. Okay. So yes, 2's complement, right? Nobody got the offer letter, Raja Babu. It will be provided by this weekend. Internship already started our home from today. Okay. Fine. So 2's complement. So what is 2's complement here? It is basically 1's complement followed by addition of 1. Right. So the steps will look like this. First step is you have to convert the given number into binary first. That is the first step. Then the second one, find the ones complement for the given number. Sorry, for the binary, whatever you found. So after finding the ones complement, we have to add 1 to the ones complement result. Right? So let's take an example of minus 12. Again, it depends on the number of bits also, the devices also. Let's assume in 8-bit. Okay, so let's assume minus 12 I have to represent in 8-bit. So first you convert 12 to binary. So what is the binary conversion of 12 in 8-bit? It basically looks like this, 1100. Right. So after getting the binary, you have to find the ones complement. Now what is ones complement? So ones complement, you have to convert 0 to 1, 1 to 0. Wherever there is a 1, make it as 0. Wherever there is a 0, make it as 1. So here these all are 1, then 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay. So this will be your ones complement. Yes, that is correct, Rohit. 1100 is B. Right? So then after finding one's complement, you have to add 1. It is a binary addition. So there will be a carry forward. So 1 plus 1, right, is actually 1, 0. Right? From the right side, you have to actually add it. So 1 1 means 1 0. So 0 will be there, 1 will be carried forward. Again 0, 1 will be carried forward, and this will be your the one's complement. Then you will keep it as it is, rest of the things. Right? So this will be the answer. So internally, this is what stored as a binary. Okay, the minus 12. So what value is this? Any idea? It is actually 244. Okay. So minus 12 in a 2's complement is 244. Okay, so there is a shortcut to know this binary representation. So you just have to do minus k is equals to 2 to the power n minus k. Okay, you subtract with the given value. Now here where n is number of bits. Yes, everything will be shared. Okay. So 244 will be the answer. So this is a formula to find it, like, so k is nothing but a given value minus 12. So 2 to the power, the n in our case is 8 minus 12. So 2 to the power 8 is 256, right? Minus 12, if you do it, you basically end up with 244. Yes, that is correct, Krishnanjali. See, because when it comes to embedded system, you are closely working with the hardware and the machines, okay, many of the times. So machines will only understand the binaries, okay. So they will not understand our high level English and all integers and all, right? So whatever the data you store, whether it is a integer, negative numbers and all, they are basically being converted into binary. So you should have a basic knowledge on how the conversion works, how a number can be converted into a binary in the machines. That's why I'm explaining this today. Okay? No, Ashish, check again. It is only 8 bit. Okay? So this will be the same thing. So I cannot do anything about the certificate and all, Palak. You have to actually contact the student support team at the Emertxe. Fine. See, everything you will get the access. Okay, so right now I also cannot do anything. So you have to wait for it. You will get the access and everything. Once the access will be given, you will get the recorded sessions also. Please be patient. Now concentrate on the class. Okay, listen to the class, what I'm saying. So you obviously will get the recorded session later on, right? Fine. So yes, this is how you can, or how the data is represented in the system. Okay. Let's move on to the data types. So because we need to represent the data in our session, in our programming and all. So how will you store these data using data types? So data types basically informs the type of information being stored, right? So that is what data types basically means. So how do I use the data types? So data type will be a keyword again followed by a variable name. So in C, we have mainly two data types. Okay. So all the examples are given. So anyway, that we will see later on. So data types are mainly divided into two categories. One will be the integral, other will be the floating point. Now when it comes to integral, we have character and an integer. In the floating point, we have float and double. Right? So let's discuss this one by one. So data type, the keyword will be integer. So this is how you declare. That means you are going to store an integer value. Then character means you will be storing a char. Then there will be a float. The variable name can be anything. Then there will be a double and variable name can be anything. Okay. Now whatever these variable you define or whenever you declare a variable, understand this. So what happens? The first thing is it will basically tells you the type of data which you want to store in the variable or in the application. Like for example here, if I say integer, that means you are going to store an integer value here. If it is a char means you are using this to store a characters like alphabet, symbols and all. Float means a real value, floating point values, both float and a double. Yes, sir, yoga, that is correct. So the two's complement, right? It will be like this. Fine. So type of data which you want to store in the application. The other thing the data type will be defining is memory. Okay. The memory allocation. So memory allocation also depends on the data type. Now if it is a integer, so int will be allocated with the 4 bytes in GCC. That is a compiler we are going to use it. So that's why specifically I'm saying because integer is a compiler implementation dependent. So integer will be of 4 bytes, character will be of 1 byte. Okay. Then we have a float will be again of 4 bytes of memory. Then double will be of 8 bytes of memory. Okay. So not only just it defines the data type, it will also instruct how many bytes of memory has to be allocated for each data type. So that is the importance of it. Okay. So these data types, whatever you store, like for example, if you say int num is equals to 10, these are later on converted into a binary, okay, to the low level programming languages. Okay. So these are the types of data type or the categorized, okay, into two categories. These are actually a primitive data types, a basic data types in the C. Now on these data types, you actually can modify the size or a signedness. Okay. So let's understand what are these modifiers. See, when I say modifiers, with the name itself, you can understand, right? So it basically modifies the size and signedness. I hope I'm audible. Nobody is replying. Am I audible, guys? Yeah, all right, fine. So modifiers basically used to modify the size or assignedness of the data type. See, as I said, whenever you say int num, it basically allocates 4 bytes, right? This you can reduce or increase depending on the modifiers. So the first one will be the size modifiers. So we have two size modifier. One will be the short, other will be the long. Again, this is a keyword. So short is applicable only, okay, on int type. You cannot use it on anything else. And this is how you basically write it. You will say short int and num. Okay. So whenever you apply short on integer, the total memory which is being allocated is only 2 bytes. So it will basically half or allocate half of the original size of the integer. Right? Yeah, I will explain now. Siddhartha, what is signess and all. So short will basically modifies the memory allocated for the integer, and it is only applicable on the integer type. So like this you can uh, declare the variable. Okay. Then coming to long type, again it is applicable either on integer or a double type. Okay. So either you can say long int num, or you can also say long double denum, like this. Now when you apply the long on integer, so the original size is 4, it will be increasing the size by 8 bytes. Again, it is a compiler dependent. You have to check, verify and use it. So most of the compiler which is 64-bit will be having 8 bytes of memory allocation. Now long double, again it is compiler dependent. Okay. So some compiler or the different compiler has a different configuration. If it is a long double, either it will be 12 bytes or 16 bytes. Again, you can cross verify this also. Right. So that is what these two size modifiers are there, which are basically very important. Now, apart from size modifier, we also have sign modifiers. So, as many of you are curious, right? What is the meaning of sign? What is sign? Like, according to you guys? Sign. Yeah, Jayashri, we do have long modifier, but this is very rarely used. Okay, only in the high-end system it is supported, not in the normal system. That's why we don't use it more oftenly. Okay, so that's why I did not explain it. So whatever knowledge, you can just go through this. Yes, very good everyone, exactly right. Sign is nothing but, so it basically instruct whether a variable is capable of storing positive or a negative value. Okay, so how will you use it? If I say int num, right, whether you say int num or a signed int num, so by default these variables are signed. That means you actually can store both positive and a negative value. There is no restriction. Right? In this number, you can store both positive and a negative value. Now, if I go with the unsigned variables like this, so whenever it is unsigned, you can only store positive value. Okay. Is this much fine? Okay. So that is what signedness is. So basically it decides whether your variable is capable of storing both positive or negative or not, or whether it is only of positive type. Right? Yes, very good. So that is the two modifiers we have, size modifiers and a sign modifiers. Is this okay? Okay. Now let's write one program. Okay. So you can basically go with the any platform. Okay, you want to use, you can go with the online compilers also to execute the programs and all. It's up to you. Or you can go with any editor. Give me a second. Okay. Now today I will give you one example how to read and how to store a value using the C programming. So first, okay, the documentation. Always keep it in a mind, name, date, a description about your code. I'm not going to write it. I will leave it as empty. So that is the first thing. So once you have this, then we will start with the preprocessors, right? Then we have main function. So in the main, you actually can add anything you want to. Let's say whenever you want to print the message or output, we go with one function called as printf. So printf is basically used to display the output on the screen. Okay, this is a basic structure, that is what I have discussed here. So once you have written the code, right, you have to execute this. So in order to execute the code, we will be using the commands. Okay. So these files, whatever you write it, you have to be storing it in the file. The file should have the extension as .c. Always remember that. Okay, so file name can be anything. It's up to you. So file name followed by the .c extension. So here I have created one file. You can see that. My bad, I have closed it. Sorry, give me a second. Right, you have to create a file with the .c extension. Once you have created, you can start writing the program. So this is just to show you like how it works, right? And Krishnaanjali, using namespace standard is actually for C++. It is not for C. Okay. So this code I will copy as it is. So once you write the program, we need to get the output. So how will you get the output? We need to execute the program here. The commands to do that, it will be in the two step. First one is compilation step. So how will you compile your code? We have a command called gcc whatever is the file name you have given with the .c extension. So in this step, your compiler will check for the syntax, whether you have written properly or not. If everything is correct, everything is according to the syntax, then it will convert code into low level instruction or low level programming language. Okay, and generates a file, default file, a.out. So if nothing is wrong, everything is fine. Okay, so then it will generate a file called a.out. Now that a.out you have to execute it. That is the execution phase. So in the execution, this a.out, whatever is generated, you have to say /a.out. Right? So here, this is the code I have written. If I go to the terminal, right, here you have to say gcc. The file name what I have given is this. Enter. See, there is no issue. A.out. It's basically prints the hello world. It is Visual Studio Code. Okay. So that's how the program are executed and written. Okay. Now within the same program, you are going to declare the things, right? So whatever the data type I have told you. See, C is actually statically typed language. Without a data type, you actually cannot do anything. Okay, nothing is possible. So how will I declare? So declaration will always be at the beginning of the code. So declaration of the variable, this is how you will do it. Int num char ch. Okay. Then followed by you have the floating point variable, and then we have the double, right? Now one way of storing the value is with the assignment. You can simply say equals to 30, or you can say like this, or float 55.5, or double as something like this, right? Now the values are stored here. Now how will I print these values or print the output? Using printf, correct? So in order to print the output, we basically require something called as format specifiers. Now these format specifiers depends on the data type. Please make a note of this. For in order to display the integer, we have %d. In order to display the character, we have %c. Okay. In order to display the floating point value, we have %f. Then in order to display the double, we have %lf. So the compiler which we are going to use is GCC. Okay, fine. So these are the format specifier. Now how to use it in the printf? So you have to say printf, the value, the type which you want to print. If it is integer, mention it as a %d, then /n to print the new line, and the variable from where you want to print it, num. Then similarly continue printf. You can say if you have to print the character %c, then you say ch. Okay. Likewise, if you are printing the floating point, you will say %f and then the f num, the variable. So this is a format or how you use a printf to print the value of a variables. Then d num. Okay, so if I execute the code here, the same thing you will get, whatever is the value, it will be displayed on the screen. So first save, execute and run. See, I am getting all the values. Now the problem with the output is I am unable to find out what is what here, right? So you can also add some message saying number. Okay, the character, then the floating point value. Then you can say double value. Okay, some message you can display instead of directly displaying the output, which will be better, right? So GCC and a dot out. See, now it is displaying with the message. So you don't have to worry about using the extension and all. You actually can go with the online editor also. So if you want to know, you actually have a Visual Studio Code installed. I am actually using WSL integration with the Visual Studio Code. Okay. You can once do some research, WSL and integration of Visual Studio Code, or you can also install the GCC compiler with the MinGW also. That is also fine. Or for a practice purpose, you can go with the online C compilers as well. There are many, right? So yes, Siddhartha. Now the declarations, I have already explained it at the beginning. The declaration is nothing but declaring the variable using the data type. There are many data types we have. Two, as I already said, primitive type, integer, float, double and all. Okay. Now declaration will only involve this, just declaring. Now whenever I declare a variable, see by default, these variables will have garbage value. So some random value will be present. If you directly access them, you will have the same garbage value. So now if you store a value like this will become a definition where it is basically combination of declaration plus initialization. So initially you are having certain value. Say if you don't have a value, it will be garbage value by default. Okay, fine. So this is how you can print the value using the printer. Yes, if you do both right, it is basically called as definition when you declare and assign the value at the same time. Yes, exactly right. Right? Now, yes, see this format specifiers, right? Basically used to print the value from a variable. For each data type, we have a specific format specifier. For integer, it is percentage %d. In order to print the character, we have percentage %c. In float, we have percentage %f. Double, we have percentage %lf. So that is what format specifiers are. Fine. Yes. So in order to run, go to terminal and you have to say gcc, the file name, then /a.out. So which basically prints whatever is the message you have, which are being replaced by the value whatever is there in the variable. Yes, Siddhartha, that is correct. Right? Now when you print the value, right, float and a double, you can see by default it is displaying some fractions, correct? So which you can reduce with the help of 0.2f or 0.2lf. So it will only display two fraction. When you use percentage f and all, by default it will display 6 fraction. You can reduce it using that precision format specifier also. Okay, so that is how you can display the values. Is this okay? Printf and the declaration part and how to display the values. Yeah, Pavni, as of now, we are only learning the basics types, right? So in basic data type, that is char, you can only store a single character. And please, guys, it has to be within a single quote, okay? So don't do this. If you try to store a value just in this way, it will consider R as a variable and it will search for a variable, which will result in the error. So always it has to be single quote. Now if you have to store more than one value like this is not a character now. This will be a string, right? So string will be explained later in the C. Okay, not now. So we will also learn the string later on. If it is a word or and all, how we can store, how to manage them. Fine. Yeah. So that is a very good question, Siddhartha. So what is the difference between float and a double? So basically, it is a precision difference is the precision means accuracy. See, floating point is only of 4 bytes, right? It is single accuracy data type. That means the floating point value will not be accurate if you display more. Fine. So if you go by more floating point, then the accuracy will reduce. For double, it is a double accurate, okay, than the float. So that's why it is a double precision data type. The accuracy is more than float. That is the difference. Yes, Jayashurya, very good. That is exactly right. String is a character array, which we will learn later on. No, Jayashri, embedded C means basically we are not going to use all the concept of a C, only related to embedded, whatever is required, that is the things we are going to use it. That's why it is called as embedded C. Like we have volatile keyword. Now, volatile keyword is specifically used in the embedded system. Okay, it's not a general way. So in the embedded C, we use volatile more. So likewise, some keywords which are only related or usable in the embedded. So that's why it is known as embedded C. It's a part, nothing else. Yes. See, character is of only 1 byte. Okay. So where you can store only single character. Okay. Now that single character should be enclosed within a quotes like this. That is what I told. Okay. Is this fine? Whatever I have explained, an internship will be of 1 month duration. So basically today we concentrated on the introduction of C. Starting from we have seen what is C and where and all it is used. Then moving forward we actually started with certain C programming description, how you can write it. Then data types, what and all are there. Followed by that some modifiers like signed and size modifiers. I hope today's session was clear to everyone. Any doubt? Yes, Ayush. See, related to embedded, right, Ayush, you will learn it anyway in the next module. See, the C module is basically it's a foundation for learning the next microcontroller and all. So here you will not be learning anything related to registers and all. We are just going to learn the C concept so that you can use it in MC or the microcontroller or embedded system development. So just concentrate on learning the C concept. So later on, okay, this 1 week or a week one is only about C. From week 2 onwards, you will be concentrating on the purely on the embedded system development, the microcontroller project and all. Okay. So right now, concentrate on learning the C. Anyway, you will from week 2 onwards, you will start learning about embedded. No, Ashish. The class timing daily it will be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay. So clear? Yes, Sheshana, that is correct. So 1 month, Monday to Friday. If there is a change in the schedule, it will be informed prior to you. But every day there will be a class, 2 hours, 7 to 9 p.m. Week 1 will be C. Week 2 onwards, it will be the embedded system. Yes, I am sending this program in the chat. If anybody want a reference, they can copy and take a reference of this. You can use anything, okay? Any ID, any editor. If you're already using one, you can continue using that, not an issue. Okay. So attendance will not be considered. I'm not going to take any attendance. So if you miss the session, you will be getting the recorded session. Okay. So fine, I think I will stop here for today. If you have any doubt regarding anything, okay, so you can always contact the support or you will get the LMS access. There also you can post your doubts. Fine. So all right guys, thank you for attending today's session. Please do attend the next sessions or upcoming sessions also 7 to 9. Don't miss the sessions. Okay, always see to it that you attend it. Yes, the classes are running only online. Okay, you have to attend it online only. If you are attending it from the mobile, it is not an issue. But after the class, do try to practice and revise whatever I have taught you in the class. Okay. Alright, guys. Thank you for attending today's session. I will see you guys tomorrow the same timing. Bye, everyone. Good night. And see you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the session and learned something out of it, right? Yes, Krishnanjali. It's fine. You can do this, right? Yeah. You guys can leave. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Okay, thank you, Sudarshan. Do attend the session tomorrow. Yeah, good night. Bye, everyone. Yeah, Roshan. Venkata Amaranath, right? In order to get a job in the embedded domain, mainly you have to concentrate on the C, okay, and microcontroller or related to embedded systems. I'm not sure, Rishikesh, you have to contact the support for that. Yeah. Okay, Roshan, thank you. All right, bye everyone. See you tomorrow. Good night. Yes, Sumitra, that is enough. Attendance will not be recorded, okay? Fine. By this weekend, you will get the access.